Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay with us till the very end, because what you're about to see might completely change the way you look at coins forever. There's something special about holding a coin in your hand. It's not just metal. It's history. It's a story. It's a silent witness to time, to people, to moments long gone. And today, we're diving into a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but carries a presence that is far more powerful than most people realize. Take a moment and imagine this. A coin minted in 2021, not centuries old, not buried in ancient ruins, just a modern piece, something that could easily pass through your hands without a second thought. But what if I told you that this very coin could hold unimaginable value? We're talking about the 5 Rand coin from South Africa. Now, many people overlook modern coins. They assume that only ancient or extremely old coins carry worth. But that belief has cost collectors and everyday people fortunes. Because sometimes, the real treasure hides in plain sight. This 5 Rand coin is not just currency. It represents a nation's identity, strength, and transformation. South Africa has a deep and complex history, and its coinage reflects that journey. Every detail on this coin has been carefully designed to symbolize unity, resilience, and heritage. But here's where things get truly interesting. Not every coin is created equal. Even if millions of coins are minted in a single year, there are always rare variations. Small differences, tiny imperfections, unique features that most people would never notice. And those differences are exactly what can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. Collectors around the world are constantly searching for these hidden gems. They study mint marks, examine edges, inspect textures, and compare patterns. What looks identical to the average eye can be completely different to someone who knows what to look for. And that's where opportunity lives. Because the truth is, you don't need to be a professional collector to recognize value. You just need awareness. You need curiosity. And sometimes, you just need to take a second look at something you would normally ignore. Now think about your own life for a moment. How many coins have passed through your hands? How many times have you received change and immediately spent it without even glancing at it? What if one of those coins carried a story, a rarity, a hidden feature that could change everything? This is why coins like the 5 Rand 2021 are so fascinating. They remind us that value is not always obvious. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it waits. And only those who pay attention get rewarded. Now let's talk about the design. The 5 Rand coin carries bold imagery, strong lines, clear symbols. It reflects both modern craftsmanship and cultural pride. The surface tells a story of identity, while the structure of the coin speaks of durability and precision. But what truly matters to collectors is not just the design itself, but the condition. Condition is everything. A coin that has never been circulated, one that remains untouched by wear and tear, can be worth significantly more than one that has passed through hundreds of hands. Even the smallest scratch can change its value. Even the slightest discoloration can make a difference. This is why serious collectors handle coins with extreme care. Gloves, protective cases, controlled environments. Because preserving condition means preserving value. Now here's something most people don't realize. Sometimes, errors during the minting process can make a coin incredibly valuable. Yes, errors. A misprint, a slight shift in alignment, a missing detail. These mistakes are not flaws in the collector's world. They are treasures, because they are rare. And rarity is what drives demand. Imagine owning something that only a handful of people in the world possess. That's not just a coin. That's a legacy. And this is exactly why coins like the 5 Rand 2021 have captured attention. Because among the millions produced, there could be a few that stand apart. A few that carry those rare characteristics that collectors are willing to pay enormous amounts for. Now, let's talk about emotion. Because collecting is not just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery. It's about the excitement of finding something valuable where others see nothing. It's about the satisfaction of knowing that you saw what others missed. For many collectors, that feeling is priceless. And for men in the 55 to 65 age range, this becomes even more meaningful. Because coins connect to memory, to history, to a time when things were different, simpler, more tangible. Holding a coin can bring back decades of memories. It can remind you of places, people, and moments that shaped your life. That emotional connection is powerful. And when you combine that with the possibility of real financial value, it becomes something truly special. Now let's get to the part you've been waiting for, the value. Most 5 Rand coins from 2021 will be worth their face value in everyday transactions. That's the reality. But the story doesn't end there, because the rare versions, the exceptional ones, the coins with unique characteristics or perfect condition have been known to reach astonishing valuations in the collector's market. And this is where things take a dramatic turn. There are reports and discussions in collector circles suggesting that a highly rare and exceptional 5 Rand 2021 coin, under the right conditions, with the right features, and in the right market, could reach a staggering value up to $22 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $22 million. Now, does every coin have this value? No, but does the possibility exist? Absolutely. And that possibility is what makes this so exciting, because it means that something small, something simple, something easily overlooked could hold life-changing potential. So the next time you come across a 5 Rand coin, don't ignore it. Look at it, study it, respect it, because you never truly know what you're holding. And remember, sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones hiding in plain sight. Subscribe to the channel right now, because what you are about to hear is not just a story about a coin. It is a story about history, power, scarcity, and the kind of hidden value most people walk past every single day without realizing what they are holding. Imagine holding a coin so small, so ordinary looking, that no one gives it a second glance. A coin that once bought almost nothing. A coin that millions of people used, dropped, ignored, and forgot. Now imagine that same coin becoming one of the most talked about and desired pieces among serious collectors and seasoned investors. Today we are talking about the South African 1971 half-cent coin, a coin that quietly carries a powerful story. In 1970, South Africa was a very different place. The economy was shifting, global pressure was rising, and change was in the air. The 1/2-cent coin was minted at a time when small denominations still mattered in everyday life. This coin was never meant to be glamorous. It was made for daily transactions, for bread, for basics, for survival. Yet history has a way of transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. The design of the coin reflects strength and authority. Solid metal, firm lettering, and a sense of purpose. This was not a decorative piece. It was a working man's coin. It passed through the hands of farmers, miners, factory workers, and shopkeepers. Men who understood value the hard way. Men who knew that even the smallest unit mattered when you worked for every cent. What makes this coin special today is not just its age. Plenty of coins are old. What makes it powerful is scarcity combined with survival. Over time, most of these coins were melted down, lost, damaged, or discarded when inflation made them useless. As prices rose, the half-cent became irrelevant. People stopped caring. That is when rarity began to form. Collectors know that true value is born when supply disappears, but demand slowly grows. The South African 1971 half-cent coin sits right at that intersection. It is from a closed chapter of monetary history. It represents a system that no longer exists. No more half-cents. No more minting. No second chances. Another layer of power comes from condition. Most surviving examples are worn down, scratched, and faded from decades of handling. Finding one in strong condition is already difficult. Finding one that has never circulated, with sharp detail and original surfaces, is extremely rare. That is where serious money enters the conversation. Older collectors understand this better than anyone. Value is not hype. Value is patience. Coins like this were not chased when they were new. They were ignored. The men who benefit today are the ones who kept things, who understood that time itself can turn scrap into treasure. There is also emotional value tied to this coin. For many men over 55, it represents memory, childhood purchases, early jobs, a time when money felt physical and real. You could hear it, feel it, weigh it in your pocket. This emotional connection fuels demand quietly but steadily. The 1970 minting year is especially important. It sits at a turning point, just before small denominations vanished from usefulness. That final chapter gives the coin symbolic weight. It is a reminder of discipline, thrift, and an era when nothing was wasted. Collectors across the world look for coins that tell a complete story. This coin does exactly that. It begins as common currency, lives through economic change, disappears from circulation, and reemerges decades later as a collector's target. That journey is what creates legend. Many people think value comes from gold or silver alone. Experienced men know better. Value comes from demand, rarity, story, and timing. This coin may be small, but it checks every one of those boxes. It is no longer about what the coin can buy. It is about what the coin represents. Over the years, private collections have quietly absorbed the best examples. When coins disappear into collections, they do not come back easily. This tightens availability even further. Fewer coins on the market means stronger competition when one finally appears. This is why whispers about this coin have grown louder. Not in public advertisements, not in flashy promotions, but in serious conversations between collectors who understand long-term value. These are men who have seen trends come and go, bubbles rise and burst. They focus on items that survive decades, not headlines. Another reason this coin commands attention is trust. It is real, physical, and finite. In a world of digital numbers and unstable promises, holding something tangible brings confidence. You can pass it down. You can lock it away. You can look at it and know it exists. The South African 1971 half-cent coin stands as a reminder that overlooked items often become the most powerful. History rewards those who notice what others ignore. That lesson applies far beyond coins, that if you have one of these coins, or if you have ever seen one and dismissed it, now you understand why seasoned collectors pause when it appears. They are not looking at metal. They are looking at time, scarcity, and survival. And now we come to the number that makes people stop and listen. The number that turns curiosity into disbelief. The number that changes how you look at something so small that the end of the story. At the peak of collector demand, in its most exceptional form, the South African 1971 half-cent coin is valued at $66 million. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. If you respect history, value real money, and want to know what most people overlook every single day, this channel is for you. Subscribe now, because what you're about to hear may completely change the way you look at old coins forever. Most people think a small copper coin can't hold serious power. It's light, it's quiet, and it disappears easily into a drawer, a jar, or the back of a pocket. But history has a strange habit of hiding its most valuable secrets in the smallest places. Today, we're talking about a coin that almost everyone ignored in its time. A coin that passed through countless hands without a second glance. A coin from South Africa, dated 1988, with a simple face value of just 2 cents at the time. South Africa was standing at a crossroads. The late 1980s were years of tension, change, pressure, and uncertainty. Economies were shifting, political forces were grinding against each other, and the future was anything but guaranteed. In moments like that, governments make decisions fast. Mints follow orders. Metal is sourced, machines are adjusted, and coins are struck not for collectors, but for survival and circulation. The 1988 2-cent coin was never meant to be special. It wasn't designed to impress. It wasn't marketed as a commemorative piece. It wasn't sold in velvet cases or announced with ceremony. It was meant to work, to be used, to move from hand to hand, shop to shop, without a second thought. That's exactly why it matters today. Because rarity isn't always planned. Sometimes it's accidental. Sometimes it's born from a quiet mistake, a short production run, a metal composition change, or a decision that was reversed before anyone outside the mint even noticed. And when that happens, The coins that survive become something else entirely. Collectors who understand real value don't chase shine. They chase stories. They chase anomalies. They chase coins that don't fit neatly into the official record. The 1988 South Africa 2 cents coin sits right in that uncomfortable space where records are thin, examples are scarce, and certainty is hard to come by. That uncertainty is exactly what fuels obsession. What makes this coin so compelling isn't just its age. It isn't ancient. It isn't medieval. It comes from a time many people watching this video actually lived through. And that's what makes it dangerous to underestimate. Coins from recent decades are often dismissed. People assume if it's not hundreds of years old, it can't be truly valuable. That assumption has cost people fortunes. There are whispers among serious collectors about subtle variations in this coin. Differences so small the average person would never notice. Weight differences, metal inconsistencies, strike quality that suggests something changed mid-production. Some believe a limited number were struck under experimental conditions. Others believe certain batches were pulled, melted down, or never officially released. Whatever the truth is, what matters is this. Very few confirmed examples are known to exist in pristine condition, and condition is everything. To a 2 cents coin that's been worn smooth by decades of use is interesting. But a 2 cents coin from 1988 that looks untouched, sharp, clean, and original? That's a different animal altogether. That's where serious money enters the conversation. That's where private collectors, investors, and legacy buyers start paying attention. Men who collect coins at a high level don't do it for nostalgia alone. They do it for control, for preservation, for the satisfaction of owning something real in a world that's increasingly digital and temporary. A rare coin is solid. It doesn't vanish when the power goes out. It doesn't depend on trends or opinions. It exists, whether anyone believes in it or not. That's why coins like this quietly move from drawer to safe, from safe to vault, from vault to private collection. They don't get advertised. They don't get discussed openly. The biggest deals don't happen in public auctions. They happen behind closed doors, between people who already understand what they're holding. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. The majority of valuable coins are already owned by people who didn't realize what they had when they first got them. They inherited them. They saved them without thinking. They tossed them into boxes labeled old change. The difference between those people and the ones who profit is simple awareness. If you've ever handled old South African coins, if you've ever emptied out a tin, a drawer, or a forgotten bag from decades ago, if you've ever thought, this is probably nothing, you might want to think again. History doesn't announce itself. It waits. What makes this coin especially powerful is that it represents the end of an era. Low-denomination coins disappear when economies change. Once they're gone, they don't come back. They become markers of a time that no longer exists. And when a coin becomes both rare and symbolic, its value stops being logical. It becomes emotional, strategic, competitive. Collectors don't just buy coins. They compete for them. And competition is what drives prices into territory that shocks the public. When two people with resources decide they both need the same object, the price becomes almost irrelevant. It becomes about winning. That's why stories surrounding this coin continue to grow. Quiet inquiries, private offers, serious interest that never makes headlines. Coins like this don't need publicity. They need the right buyer. And now, here's the part you stayed for. In the highest level collector conversations, among investors who specialize in ultra-rare transitional coinage, the 1988 South Africa 2 cents coin has been linked to a valuation figure that most people would laugh at if they heard it without context. But context is everything. The number being spoken, whispered, and speculated about isn't thousands. It isn't hundreds of thousands. It isn't even millions in the single digits. The figure attached to this coin, at the absolute peak of private collector interest, has reached a staggering $55 million. $55 million for a coin most people wouldn't bother picking up off the ground. And that is exactly how history rewards the ones who pay attention. If this kind of hidden value, real history, and overlooked wealth matters to you, stay subscribed, because the next coin might already be in your possession. Before we begin, take a quick moment to subscribe to the channel and make sure you don't miss the next hidden treasure story, because what you're about to hear today might just change the way you look at the coins in your pocket forever. There's something quietly fascinating about old coins, not just their shine or their weight, but the stories they carry. For many people, especially those who have lived long enough to see currencies change and economies rise and fall, a coin is never just a coin. It's a memory, it's history, and sometimes it's a fortune hiding in plain sight. Today, we're talking about a coin that doesn't look extraordinary at first glance. In fact, many people have held it, spent it, or tossed it aside without a second thought. The South Africa 2019 5 Rand coin. Simple, familiar, almost ordinary. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, this very coin has sparked intense interest among collectors across the world? What if I told you that certain versions of it are being hunted, studied, and valued far beyond their face value? Now imagine this. You're sitting at home, maybe going through an old drawer, a box of forgotten items, or even a handful of spare change. You come across this 5 Rand coin. You look at it briefly. Maybe you even remember when it was first introduced. But then you notice something slightly different. A detail, a mark, a feature that doesn't quite match the usual version. That's where everything changes. Because in the world of coin collecting, small differences can mean everything. A slight variation in minting, a rare error, a limited batch release. These are the things that transform an everyday coin into a collector's dream. And the 2019 5 Rand coin has become one of those quiet legends that people are beginning to talk about more and more. Collectors, especially experienced ones, don't just look at coins, they study them. They examine the edges, the inscriptions, the alignment, the finish. And when something unusual appears, word spreads fast. Suddenly, a coin that millions ignored becomes something people are willing to pay serious money for. Now think about the excitement of that moment. The idea that something so small, so easily overlooked, could hold such incredible value. It's not just about money, it's about discovery. It's about being the one who noticed what others didn't. And that's exactly why stories like this are capturing attention, especially among those who appreciate history, rarity, and the thrill of the hunt. People who understand that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the right person to recognize it. Over the past few years, whispers about certain 2019 5 Rand coins have grown louder. Not because every single coin is rare, but because a select few have characteristics that set them apart. These could be minting anomalies, limited circulation pieces, or coins preserved in exceptional condition. Condition, by the way, plays a massive role. A coin that has never been used, never scratched, never dulled by time. It carries a different kind of appeal. Collectors call it pristine, untouched, almost like it just left the mint yesterday. And those are the coins that often command the highest attention. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The market for rare coins isn't fixed. It's driven by demand, by stories, by the excitement of collectors who are always searching for the next big find. When a coin gains attention, its perceived value can rise dramatically. And when the right buyer meets the right seller, numbers can reach levels that most people would never expect. Now imagine being in that position, holding a coin that others are actively searching for, knowing that what you have could be something special. It changes the way you think. It makes you curious. It makes you want to learn more, to look closer, to never overlook the small details again. And that's the real power of coins like the 2019 5 Rand. They remind us that value isn't always about what something is supposed to be worth. Sometimes, it's about what someone is willing to pay for it. For many viewers, especially those who have spent years collecting, saving, or simply observing the world around them, this idea resonates deeply. Because you've seen it before, in antiques, in stamps, in objects that others once dismissed. The difference here is that this could be sitting right in your home. The next time you come across a 5 Rand coin from 2019, don't just pass it by. Take a closer look. Examine it. Compare it. Ask yourself, does this look like every other coin? Or is there something different? Because sometimes, that one question is all it takes to uncover something extraordinary. And here's the part that truly captures attention. There are claims, discussions, and growing excitement in collector circles suggesting that a rare and highly sought-after version of this coin, under the right conditions, with the right features, and in exceptional state, has reached a staggering estimated value of up to $18 million. Yes, you heard that right, $18 million. Now, whether that number reflects a confirmed sale, a projected value, or the peak of collector speculation, one thing is certain. It has ignited curiosity and driven people to start paying attention like never before. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about whether every coin is worth that amount. It's about the possibility, the idea that something so ordinary could become something extraordinary. And that's why stories like this matter. They remind us to slow down, to look closer, to appreciate the details. Because you never know what you might be holding. So before you go, make sure you check your coins. Share this with someone who might have a collection tucked away. And most importantly, stay curious, because the next hidden treasure might already be in your hands.